Python syntax is simple and easy to read, making it perfect for beginners and pros alike. And understanding syntax is like learning the grammar of a language. It's the foundation upon which all your future coding projects will be built. So let's talk about variables first, meaning the orange blocks we see right here. And let's write our first line of code. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a line of code to name Mr. Skywalker. Name equals Skywalker. Okay, fine. All right, so Mr. Skywalker here is in quotes, as you can see. And we created a variable here called name, and we assigned the variable name in quotes, Mr. Skywalker. And let's go together to Google Colab. And from now on, what I'll do is I'll just call it Colab. And we're going to click right here on New, and we are going to create a new notebook. And then let's enter, and you can pause me if you want to. Let's enter in the following code, okay? Name equals Mr. Skywalker. Here we go. Good. Which is the color orange. We try to color code all this stuff. Now, if we run the code by pressing play right here, it looks like nothing happens, but something did. What happened when we ran this code is we taught Python that our variable, okay, meaning name, is assigned a value of Mr. Skywalker. And instead of using double quotes, what we can also do is we can use single quotes and it will also work. I'll show you here. You just got to be consistent. Play, the same result. Now, Python knows that what we just created was a string because we put Mr. Skywalker in quotes. Now, what we can also do is we can rewrite this line of code here as follows using a data type of string. So what you can do is you could say name equals, and then right here, we'll write string. Okay, this is the data type, and there's 4 different types we'll talk about, and a couple more as well later on. So string equals, and we put here Mr. Skywalker. Okay, there we go. Whoa, this way here. Okay, great. Now, what we just did was we told Python that our variable, which is name, is Mr. Skywalker, and the data type is string, str. And from now on, what I want you to do, or for now I should say, just think of strings as text or anything in quotes. And strings can get more complicated, and we're going to continue to build on this logic throughout this course. Now, these bricks are using lowercase on purpose because Python is case sensitive. Now, watch what happens if I change this code right here, and I'm going to put string on the outside with capital STR right here. Let me close the brackets here, and let me run this code. Watch what happens. We get an error. And it's great to get errors because this is how we learn. All right, so let's change it back now to lowercase str, because right here it's saying capital STR is not defined, and let's run it, and we see we do not get an error. Now, there's several different types of data or different data types, as you can see from these 4 blocks right here. We just discussed strings, str. So let's talk about the next one you see here, which is int for integer. And we know that an integer means a whole number, like 1, 2, or 3. What if we define the name Mr. Skywalker as an integer and we ran the code? What do you think would happen? If you want, pause this video and go to Colab and type this here, and then change this to int to see what happens and run the code. Let's try it out. So let me change this here to int for integer, and I will run the code. And I got an error. So let's change it back now to string, str, all lowercase, and let's run it, and there's no error here. Okay, let's now add another line of code to define age as 44. Okay, now Darth Vader was 44 in the first Star Wars movie. So we're going to go age right here. Please don't fall. Good. Age equals 44. Okay, great. Done. And it's fun to visualize this stuff, eh? So Python is smart enough to know that this here is an integer. And similar to what we did with the name up here, by defining it as a string, we can do the same thing with age right here. Okay, so again, Python is smart enough to know that this here is an integer. But what we can also do if we want to is we can put integer written here just like we have string. And let me see if I can do that right here. Okay, so I will go here equals integer 44. Whoops, right here. In brackets first, of course. Right here, 44. And then we close the brackets right here. Fun. Okay, great. And similar to how we defined a string up here for name, we define integer here for age. And notice how we did not need to put quotes around the 44 here. Okay, and remember in the last exercise we did, we use print to show hello world to the user. Well, this is called a function. And the print function has only one goal, which is to show the message, meaning information, back to the user. So print is a function. So let me put this up here, actually. This will be fun to build this out here. All right. And we're going to talk about functions in much more detail in the next section. Please don't fall. Okay, there we go. Great. Print right here. Keeping it real. Okay, great. Now, in Python, there are so many built-in functions, such as these right here, okay, to make our lives so much easier by accomplishing a certain task for us. And we're going to discuss every single built-in function in Python in this course. These are just some of them. And you can even define your own functions and be as creative as you want to. And we're going to talk about functions in more detail in this level you see right here. So let's go back to Colab together. And I want to see if you can add a second line of code to Colab and print the variable called name. Okay, so pause me if you want to, and do this if you want to in Colab, and then press play in Colab to run the code. So again, add a second line here to Colab to print the name. Try your best. If you get errors, it's all good. This is how we learn together. Now, before I go to Colab to show you this, I'm going to show it to you here with blocks. So we would type print, and we're color coding things on purpose. Please stay. Print, open brackets here, okay? Name, and then we close brackets as well. This is how Python works. Okay, great. Now, notice we didn't need to put quotes around name right here. We don't need quotes because we already defined the variable name up here as Mr. Skywalker. So let's go to Colab together, and I'm going to type print name. Print name, and I am going to run the code. Yay, Mr. Skywalker came up there. Now, instead of pressing play to run the code, what you can also do is you can press these keys you see right here on the screen for Windows and for Mac users. And so I'll do it again. I'll play it here by pressing that together. Okay. Now let's insert a line here stating with the number sign right here, okay, with the number sign or hash sign, that we're going to be adding a comment to our code. And we do this just in case we ever come back to see our code in the future to see what we were trying to accomplish, or if somebody else is going to look at our code as well to see what we're trying to do. So I'm going to type here, this code defines a name and then prints it. And I'm looking at my teleprompter here. Prints it. Okay, great. Notice how it's in a different color up top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this code. And we know that Python is going to skip this code because it's a comment. So I'm going to run it using the quick keys instead of pressing the play button there. And it still works. You did not get an error. right? Because it skipped this. Now, watch what happens if I remove this here. It gets all confused. And if I run the code, and I'll click play this time, we'll get an error, invalid syntax. So let me hit Control Z to undo that and put that back here and play it again so I no longer have an error. You can also add comments to a line of code by typing the number on the side here or hash. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type right here, Mr. Skywalker. We named Luke here because, you know, Luke Skywalker.
You called me?
So why? Oh, so your name is Luke.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No. It's all good. No.
Oh.
I was talking about Mr. Luke Skywalker here.
Sorry. I got confused.
No, it's all good, brother. And because we typed a number sign here, Python actually ignores that comment. Okay, so we're having fun here. We're making great progress. But as a quick side note, let's see if you can use this function here, okay, called type to see what data type name is. Okay, so what kind of a data type is name here that we defined? Let's see if you can, whoops, I don't want this to fall here. Let's see if you can use type to figure out what data type the variable name is. Okay, and this is not easy. And if you get errors, it's all good because that's how we learn. So go ahead and try this now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the function. I'll put this here on our function stack here because we talked about it. All right. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to type here, type name. Good. And I'm going to run this code. Okay, good. And right down here, we see it says str. That means string. Python is saying, hey, that type there, name, is string. Okay. Now, let me type right here. Let me get rid of this here. Whoops. Let me put in age equals 44 here. Age equals 44. Okay. Whoops. Age. And Python's smart enough to know that's an integer, but I could also have written it as I wrote it here. Age equals integer 44 in brackets without the quotes. Okay. And what I'm going to do, actually, let's see if you can do this. This will be fun. I want you to write a line of code right here. I want you to enter in age equals 44. But I also want you to use the type function to tell me what kind of data type age is. Okay, use the type function. So I'll pause me if you want to and try it out. All right, so let's try it out together and see what the answer is. So I'm going to type here, type, open brackets, age. And then I'm going to hit enter. And it tells us it's an integer data type. We use 2 camera angles in case I make a mistake, which I just did. Okay, stay. All right, now you might be thinking, Chris, wait. If Python already knows if something is a string or an integer, why are you teaching us this? Because sometimes you need to change data types, like changing a number from integer type to string type and vice versa. And this will make more sense to you soon, especially when we want a program to do one thing instead of another thing. And changing a data type from one type to another is called casting.